did it in the year 2016, and he's initiated a legislative bill again in the U.S. Congress against Pakistan to designate Pakistan a sponsor of terrorism. I'm being joined in an exclusive conversation with U.S. Congressman Ted Poe. Many thanks for joining us here on NewsX. Indeed a pleasure. Your efforts have been commendable and you've been relentless. Explain H.R. 1449 to us.
The purpose of the legislation is very simple. The president is to make a determination if Pakistan supports terrorism. Do that within 90 days, and if he makes that determination, then the State Department is to determine whether they should be on the list as a state sponsor of terror. I'm a former judge, and the evidence over the years that Pakistan is too cozy with terrorist groups. The Haqqani Network, Al-Qaeda, and Taliban, and all of their support seems to be that they are cozy with those organizations, and they should be a state sponsor of terrorism if there's that determination by the president.
Well, Congressman Poe, what is the reason that you think is the reason why Pakistan has not been designated yet? Do you think it is because United States of America still needs Pakistan in Afghanistan?
Well, it is true that Pakistan is sort of two-faced. They support some of the things that we're trying to do in South Asia, but on the other hand, they support terrorist organizations as well. So they're two-faced. And I think the reason that they have not been designated as a state sponsor of terrorism is because of the fact that we are, in essence, not only giving them a lot of money, we hope that because they have nuclear weapons, they will not use them against anybody. So those are the reasons that are excuses, I think, that are used to support Pakistan. But it's time that they choose sides. They cannot be two-faced. Either you support the United States and you support war on terror, or you don't. So they're two-faced, and I think this legislation is important so that we find out really whose side that they are.
Well, there has been a change of guard. Do you think with the Trump administration you will succeed in getting this legislation, in getting this bill really passed?
I think the chances are a lot better than under the previous administration. This administration has made it clear that they want to be active worldwide war on terrorism. So I think it'll be more sympathetic. I certainly can't speak for President Trump, but I think I'm encouraged by this legislation and filing it now under his administration.
Well, you've been speaking about the fact that Pakistan as a state has been involved with terror networks. Could you share details about ISI and the Pakistani military's involvement with these terror networks?
Well, I'm the chairman of the Terrorism Subcommittee in Foreign Affairs. We go back to Osama bin Laden. Pakistan hid out Osama bin Laden. The whole world knows this, and Pakistan refuses to admit it. And ISI is the culprit in hiding out Osama bin Laden, the #1 terrorist in the history of the world. They also support ISI, supports the Haqqani Network. Even our Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mullen, made that comment that the Haqqani Network and ISI seem to work together. Well, the Haqqani Network is a foreign terrorist organization. They recently hid out a terrorist operative in Baluchistan, and why are we not surprised that he was hiding in Pakistan? So there are other pieces of evidence that show that history being just with terrorist groups, and it's time we have a day of reckoning and call Pakistan out for this conduct.
Congressman Poe, U.S. suffers at the hands of Pakistan and terror organizations that work out of Pakistan in Afghanistan. India also has suffered greatly from terrorism that emanates from Pakistani soil, and yet Hafiz Saeed was put under house arrest. His aides have been put under house arrest, the Lashkar-e-Taiba chief who was involved in the 26/11 attacks. But now we're learning that his brother is the entire terror organization. It just goes to show that Pakistan and all its efforts to fighting terror was basically an eyewash.
Well, it seems to me as a former judge that house arrest is a very light punishment for crimes, terrorism. And that example of Mumbai is a perfect example of Pakistan seeming to play both sides. And in my opinion, Pakistan has supported the Taliban that goes into Afghanistan and kills NATO troops, runs back into Pakistan and hides. Pakistan seems to support that. So there are many examples. Unlike India, we know where India stands. It's the United States, and I think India work very well together on the issue of terrorism. Pakistan, we don't know where they stand. Whose side are they? The side of terror or the side of eliminating terror?
Okay, coming back to the legislation, Congressman Poe, do you or has Pakistan really approached you to dissuade you from really going ahead with this bill, with this legislation against Pakistan?
I have talked to some Pakistan, but it's obvious that they're trying to derail legislation. It's important to the United States. I'm not really concerned about whether I should do this on behalf of Pakistan. This legislation is on behalf of the American people. I represent the American people. I don't represent the Pakistani government. And I'm doing this totally because I think it's the best thing for the American people that we know what Pakistan is. And it seems to me that Pakistan complains too much. They protest too much. And it seems as a judge that their vote protests seems to show guilt to me. So Pakistan needs to choose sides, get rid of the terrorist operations in Pakistan, and support the worldwide war against terrorist organizations.
So you're saying Pakistan as a state is involved with terrorism. Now, in terms of dealing with Pakistan, do you think it will bear any fruit if U.S. engages with the civilian dispensation there? Is Nawaz Sharif really in control, or do you think it's the Pakistani establishment, the ISI, and hence there is no use of engaging the civilian government today?
Well, I think we should engage the government of Pakistan on this specific issue. And the arm of the government, or ISI, that is the problem, is ISI, their dealings with, like the Akani network. That's where we should have more dialogues trying to prevent that action and that relationship, that cozy relationship between ISI and a terrorist operation. Yes, I think we should work with the Pakistan government to solve this specific issue.
Explain this to me, Congressman Poe. Despite so many leaders in the United States of America like you who've called out Pakistan on its involvement, on her involvement with terror networks, why is it then that U.S. continues to support Pakistan militarily?
Well, I vote against, anytime I have a chance, I vote against giving aid to Pakistan. We don't need to continue to send them millions of billions of dollars worth of aid, whether it's military or other type of aid. I oppose that. I'm very vocal on the House floor. But I lose that battle. We lose that in the sense that members of Congress do aid Pakistan. That's a very bad mistake on the part of the U.S. government to continue to give them money. I think that money, this is my opinion, I think some of that money ends up in the hands of ISI, goes to sponsor terrorist organizations. So U.S. needs to cut back its funding Pakistan. People in Pakistan don't like Americans anyway, and I don't know why we continue to support them with sending money to Pakistan.
Now, would ultimatums really work with Pakistan, as India has done, that terror and talks don't go hand in hand, can't go together? Should there be isolation of Pakistan when it comes to terrorism, and how to deal with it vis-a-vis Pakistan?
Well, as I said, each country must make up their own mind. What the United States should do is have an investigate specifically, as this legislation does. Let the President of the United States determine if they support terrorist groups. If they do, then the State Department needs to label them as a foreign terrorist organization or justify why not. That's what this legislation does. That's what the United States position should be. That's why I support this legislation. Really can't speak for any other country.
Congressman Congressman Poe, if you could explain the time frame, how long will it take for the legislation to be passed, or the determination to be made by the administration with regards to Pakistan and whether if it is a sponsor of terrorism or not?
All right, the legislation has already been filed. Legislation, all laws in the U.S. Congress, it takes a while. But the time frame is 2 years. That's the maximum time. If it's not done in 2 years, it'll be refiled in the next congressional session. But we have 2-year time frame. We are working with both sides of the aisle. We're talking to Republicans and Democrats, and we have support for this. But it has to go through the committee process, then go to the House floor for a final vote. It will be a while, and I'm not being unrealistic about that. But the legislation has been filed. We're going to make sure that we can get as many folks supportive of it as we can get a vote.
What are the ramifications for Pakistan if this bill is passed?
All right, if the bill is passed, the president signs it. Here's what the legislation does specifically. The president will make a determination based on evidence whether or not Pakistan supports terrorist organizations. If the president determines that they do, then the State Department then does further investigation to see whether they should be labeled as a foreign terrorist organization. So the administration is going to make this determination. Not Congress, not me, but the administration will make the determination if they are foreign terrorists or not. That's what the legislation is, and that's why I think it will move to the House of Representatives and the president will sign it.
Okay. Will this bill really ensure that aid, the military aid that U.S. provides to Pakistan really stops? Will that impact really take place if the bill goes through?
Well, if a country is labeled a foreign terrorist organization, state sponsor of terror, then there are ramifications for that. There could be sanctions, there could be aid that's withdrawn. That's all down the road. We have to get that determination whether they're a foreign terrorist organization or not. That'll be made by the administration. But there are consequences for that. Sanctions is one of those. Losing money is another.
Finally, Congressman Poe, my last question to you. The FATF, the Financial Task Force, that is a wing of the United Nations, has come out with a scathing report talking about funding, terror funding from Pakistan, within Pakistan. Is that report going to help your case, build your case, when you have to convince Republicans and Democrats alike to ensure that this bill sees the light of day?
Certainly, it will. That report and other reports by other organizations will all be included in the determination as to whether Pakistan is a state sponsor of terror or not. Yes, all of the evidence will come in.
On that note, Congressman Ted Poe, many thanks for joining us. Indeed, a pleasure. It has been a relentless effort by you, and we have been tracking all your efforts here in India. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal took responsibility